We spoke earlier on to one of the Slovenian players, Timmy Max Elmsnik, who played in midfield for Slovenia last night, who said to us that England didn't really deliver anything they didn't expect. They kind of played the way they thought they would and would struggle against Slovenia's
damning, wasn't it, really?
low block. It was quite damning. He didn't mean to be, he just called it as it was. Stan Collymore in the stadium watching it all unfold as an England fan, former England striker. Hi, Stan.
Gentlemen, how are we? I'm in the going to paint a picture for you. I'm in the third in the queue to get on the Eurotunnel back to Blighty for 2 or 3 days to refuel, wash the flag, and go again in Gelsenkirchen.
Brilliant. Wash the flag. That's
well done, Stan.
Not a euphemism. So, Stan, we spoke to Timmy earlier on, who played in midfield last night, and he basically, I said, there'd been a lot of talk about resets and higher tempo. Were you surprised at the way England played? And he said, no, not really. We kind of planned for the fact they were going to play like that, which, as we say, is quite damning, isn't it?
It is. We played everything in front of Slovenia. It's called I'm naming it the Manchester City Arc of Possession.
Right.
You give it the fullback. The fullback plays it round in a curve, round through the central defenders to the left back. And Manchester City do it very well because they do it 2/3 of the way through the opponent's half. They then get Kevin De Bruyne on the ball that slips little balls through to the likes of Haaland or Alvarez. On the left and the right, over many years, you think of Grealish, you think of Mahrez, you think of Bernardo Silva, you think of Jeremy Doku. When they get it, they go past people. If you just use that England template, the Manchester City Arc of Possession, which is exactly what happened yesterday, is that there were 2 things missing. The first thing was the tempo to be able to play and keep Slovenia in their defensive third. We did it for a spell in the second half. And the second thing was wide men not taking on fullbacks. We are an outlier. We are a massive outlier in this tournament in terms of possession of the football, but not doing anything with it. Now, we're probably not in the top 20 nations in the world at being able to manipulate the ball and keep possession. We're much better these days in the Premier League, but we do not have players that are bright enough and clever enough to open doors. And you'd think, well, that's rubbish, Stan. We've got Bellingham. We've got Foden. Foden is stuck out in a position where he's not able to do much damage. Jude Bellingham's physical levels have dropped off a cliff. And what we saw yesterday, and you will have noticed it in particular, when Cole Palmer and Anthony Gordon came on, it wasn't the fact that they beat the man or didn't. It was the intention to beat the man. When I played football, I tried to get it, turn and run at people because I knew that defenders hate pace and they hate the intention to run at you. And when Anthony Gordon came on and when Cole Palmer came on, Slovenia took a step back, which leaves a little bit more space for other players to do the damage. So, look, changes need to be made, but I've got a sneaking feeling that Gareth thinks all the big hitters are out on the pitch. There is a bit of tweaking to do with the central midfield alongside Declan Rice. But I'm going to use Gordon, I'm going to use maybe Watkins, and I'm going to use Cole Palmer late on in the game. In this group stage, we've got away with it. The first good side that we come up against, we may well be 2-0 down before we get the chance to put some of those exciting young players on. Yeah. So we need to grasp the nettle, wake up and smell the coffee, another cliche, and be a lot more adventurous and a lot more bold. His post-match comments last night, and I love Gareth, played with him twice, as you know, for Crystal Palace. We were kids together, and Aston Villa is my captain. I have the utmost respect for him. But it sounded a guy that was in his own bubble and wasn't listening, not to England fans or pundits. That doesn't matter. What matters is he's listening to the mood of the tournament. And the mood of the tournament is players getting the ball in attacking positions and taking other players on. And we haven't done that.
Yeah, and the other day you came on and you had some very interesting thoughts about what he might do and what he could do. And, of course, he did nothing. And when the news came through that he was just going to put Gallagher in, that was it. You do sort of despair a bit, don't you? You could do with a bit more imagination, couldn't you?
Yeah, if you look at the Manchester City arc of possession, is that John Stones, of course, in a Champions League final, most notably stepped into a midfield possession and he was Franz Beckenbauer reborn. I still think that he should go to 3 central defenders. Walker is the right of the 3, or Trent, doesn't matter. Guayu's been excellent as the left. John Stone is the central one, because John Stone can light fires. You know, the Phil Foden song, "No Spark Without Fire," is that if you've got John Stone stepping in alongside Declan Rice and starting moves, then you've got an extra body in midfield to make things happen. You've got two attacking wide fullbacks that are 10 or 15 yards further up. You know, if you look at Trent Alexander-Arnold or Kyle Walker or Trippier at their best, they are at their best when they're in the opponent's half, arguably, and they're getting most of the ball off Jordan Pickford midway through their own half, so they can't be a threat. And we've got to have the conversation about Harry Kane. Look, there's a lot of England players that have played a lot of minutes over a number of years, and it might be a tournament too far. But if Harry Kane played like he did last night, then you've got to change it at 60 minutes. Or you've got to change it at 65 minutes, the traditional time when substitutions are made, and not be afraid to make changes. Because I know if that was a Pep Guardiola or a Mourinho or a Klopp, that even if it was Harry Kane or Jude Bellingham, whatever the name is, if they weren't playing at least 5, 6, 7 out of 10 and considerably contributing to the team, they'd take them off. And I think that there was an argument for Bellingham going off last night, and I think there was an argument for Kane going off last night.
Righty floated the idea on TV of Bukayo Saka playing at left back. I mean, he's done it for Arsenal. He doesn't particularly enjoy it, and he has done it for England. You know, I think it's right. He said that's how he started off life. I think for England.
And he is left-footed. It's such a key thing.
Stan, what do you make of that and Trippier's contribution going forward?
If it was a left wing back role, yes, because Bukayo Saka then is effectively operating from the halfway line forward. And if you're looking at then maybe playing Gordon or a left footer down that side, is that you've got overlaps. You only have to look at the highlights of any of the games that have been played over the last 2 or 3 days and the games that will be played in the next couple of days. Watch how many times wide men, it doesn't matter whether they're fullbacks or whether they're wingers, that they get to the left and the right of the 18-yard box and they go past people. Georgia did it. Turkey did it. The only 2 nations that have not done it regularly in this tournament have been England and Scotland. You know, and it's just it's a matter of fact. I'm not comparing Scotland's performances with England, because England have topped the group and they're through, etc., etc. But I would love a stato out there, and maybe somebody could tweet the show and tweet me. Have a look at how many times an England player has got to the left or the right of the 18-yard box, took on a player and drove into the box, for example, like a Doku does. Or like Mbappe yesterday. Mbappe came into the French team, watched the highlights when I got back to Aachen from Cologne yesterday. He got into that position 2 or 3 times very, very quickly. And so whether it be Bukayo Saka playing as left back, right back or centre forward, it really doesn't matter. What we've got to do is get away from 90% possession in front of teams and maybe have 60 or 50% possession and getting behind teams a little bit more.
Now, if we expect, as you said, Gareth in his own little bubble, we may have to rely on some bolder substitutions if we don't get bold changes in the starting 11. Timmy Max-Elsnick...
Earlier as well.
Well, the Slovenian midfielder who played last night, we asked him, did you expect changes earlier? He said we did, and we were surprised they didn't make them earlier. He said, especially as our left back was on a yellow card. And, you know, as soon as Palmer started running at him, that was a real risk, and they were very worried about it. And they were all quite surprised that England had not made changes earlier, which, again, is pretty damning, Stan.
It is. 65 minutes, as I said, 65 minutes is usually the time. I was chatting to a couple of my mates, Villa fans, and Unai Emery will effectively say to players, give me 60 minutes and I'll make changes. It sows a seed in players' minds that they can give it everything that they've got, especially players that have played a lot of minutes. And it says to players that are coming on, you are going to come on. Not you might come on at 65, 70 minutes. You are going to come on. So I think that maybe a change of messaging from Gareth to players like Jude Bellingham and Foden. You're going to get 60 minutes. Don't worry, we're not going to flog a dead horse. And then the cavalry is coming on. Even that, I think, at this stage, we'll see and pay dividends for England. But unless we do something, whether it be the Dutch that we play or, another mid-ranked team, somebody's going to start getting joy against us, either on the counter-attack or having more possession or creating more. So we need to do it now. I just worry with Gareth's comments. They were really worrying to me last night. I thought, Gareth, I just hope you're not in your own bubble. That he said we played well, we created chances. It wasn't a good performance. Lots of possession, but lots of passive possession that didn't hurt the Slovenian team. So whether it be Cole Palmer, I thought came on, was positive. Gordon came on, was positive. Is that if they're going to come on at 60 minutes, tell them, be ready for 60 minutes, Ollie Watkins. You're going to come on for Harry Kane, who's had a great season in Germany, but he's labouring. 60 minutes you're on. And then that way, Harry Kane knows he can give it 60 minutes full pelt and he's going to get a nice rest. Jude Bellingham the same. And the young guns get an opportunity of 30, 35 minutes, maybe more, to really shine. They've deserved it.
Stan, brilliant. We'll let you get on the
100%.
train. Safe journey home, and we'll catch up on Monday. Boy, each stage we'll be hopefully looking forward to a quarter final. But good to talk to you. Thanks a lot.
We still believe up the Cannock Villa.
Yes, Stan has made the Cannock Villa flag. England sent out a little Instagram picture of all the England fans. Their front and centre was Stan and his mates with the big Cannock Villa flag.
I mean, I thought that, the fans, like what Charlie said, they got behind the team, and at the end they let them know they weren't happy. I think that's fair. They didn't do it during the game.
No, they made a lot of noise. They were in full voice. So, we're going to be chatting to Martin Kellner a little bit later on. We spoke, didn't we, just now to Matt Eastley about a golden age of highlights, but I mean, we've had live coverage on both channels going head to head. Martin, of course, wrote a brilliant book, the definitive work on sport on TV, Sit Down and Cheer. So he's going to be joining us to tell us what he's made of the little war, if you will, between ITV and BBC on the TV. But for now, that was our look back on England against Slovenia in association with Carling. 18 plus. Please drink responsibly.
Paul Hawksbee and Andy Jacobs, Monday to Friday afternoons 1 till 4 on AM, on DAB, via the talkSPORT app and on your smart speaker. talkSPORT.